If you want people to respect you instantly, there is one truth you must understand before anything else. People will rarely respect you more than you respect yourself. This is the foundation of all respect. Most people believe respect is something that other people give you, but in reality, respect is something you teach people through your behavior. You teach people how to treat you. You teach people what you will tolerate. You teach people how valuable you believe you are. And the world pays close attention to these signals. If you constantly apologize for who you are, people notice. If you allow others to cross your boundaries without consequence, people notice. If you lower your standards just to be accepted, people notice. Without saying a word, you communicate something powerful. This is how I believe I deserve to be treated. And people often respond accordingly. This is why low self-respect invites disrespect, not because people are cruel by nature, but because human beings naturally respond to the standards you set for yourself. Think about the people who command respect the moment they enter a room. It is not always because they are rich, not because they are famous, not because they are physically strong. Often it is because they carry themselves with quiet confidence. They know their worth, they protect their time, they value their energy, and they refuse to accept treatment that goes against their standards. This creates an invisible force around them, a sense of self-respect that other people can feel. The truth is that confidence and self-respect are deeply connected. When you respect yourself, you stop begging for attention. You stop chasing approval. You stop accepting less than you deserve simply because you fear being alone or rejected. And this changes your entire presence because self-respect creates boundaries, and boundaries create respect. Many people spend their lives trying to gain respect from others while completely neglecting themselves. They say yes when they want to say no. They tolerate disrespect because they fear conflict. They sacrifice their peace just to keep people happy. Then they wonder why nobody truly respects them. The answer is simple. You cannot expect others to value something that you do not value yourself. Respect begins within. It begins with the way you speak to yourself, the standards you keep, the promises you make to yourself, and honor the decisions you make when nobody is watching. Because every time you betray your own values to gain approval, your self-respect becomes weaker. And every time you protect your values, your self-respect becomes stronger. This inner strength changes the way people see you, because people are naturally drawn toward those who know their worth. There is something powerful about a person who refuses to compromise their dignity, a person who remains calm under pressure, a person who is kind but not weak, a person who is respectful but refuses to be disrespected. This kind of person commands attention without asking for it. Because self-respect creates quiet authority, the irony is that many people spend years trying to make others respect them when the real work should begin inside themselves. The moment you start respecting your own time, other people begin respecting it too. The moment you start protecting your peace, other people become more careful with it. The moment you stop accepting poor treatment, people realize they can no longer treat you carelessly. This does not happen overnight. It begins with small decisions. Keeping your word, protecting your boundaries, walking away from situations that destroy your dignity, refusing to chase people who do not value you, and slowly something changes. You begin carrying yourself differently. You begin speaking differently. You begin making decisions differently. Because you no longer need the world to tell you that you matter. You already know it. And there is nothing more powerful than a person who understands their own worth. Because once you respect yourself deeply, you naturally stop depending on other people's approval, and that is when real respect begins to follow you. Once you begin respecting yourself, something else becomes necessary. You must stop seeking approval from everyone around you, because one of the fastest ways to lose respect is to constantly need validation from other people. The person who desperately wants to be liked often ends up being respected the least. Why? Because neediness communicates weakness. It tells the world that your opinion of yourself is not enough. It tells people that your confidence depends on their approval. And the moment your confidence depends on other people, you give them power over you. Most people spend their lives trying to make everyone happy. They change their opinions to fit in. They hide parts of themselves to avoid rejection. They say yes when they want to say no. They constantly worry about what everyone thinks. But there is a hidden cost to this behavior. The more you seek approval, the more you slowly lose yourself. And when people sense that you are desperate to be accepted, they often value you less, because respect is naturally drawn toward people who are comfortable standing on their own. Think about the people you admire. They may be kind, they may be respectful, but they are not controlled by other people's opinions. They are not constantly asking for permission to be themselves. They know who they are, and because they know who they are, other people begin respecting them. This is the hidden strength of emotional independence. The moment you stop needing everyone to agree with you, you become stronger. The moment you stop chasing approval, your confidence becomes real. Because now your self-worth comes from within, most people are trapped in a cycle. They receive praise and feel powerful. Then they receive criticism and feel worthless. Their emotional state changes depending on what other people think of them. This is not confidence. This is dependence. Real confidence is different. Real confidence means being able to hear praise without becoming arrogant and hear criticism without falling apart. It means understanding that other people's opinions are information, not your identity, because no matter what you do in life, someone will approve of you and someone will dislike you. You cannot control that. Trying to control it is exhausting. And the more you try to please everyone, the more respect you often lose, because people naturally respect those who have standards, those who have principles, those who are willing to disappoint others rather than betray themselves. This does not mean becoming selfish or rude. It means valuing your own opinion enough to stop living entirely for the approval of others. Many people never reach their potential because they are too busy trying to fit into other people's expectations. They are afraid to speak honestly, afraid to take risks, afraid to be different. Why? Because they want approval. But approval is a dangerous addiction, because once you become addicted to it, you begin making every decision based on how other people will react. And that is not freedom. The people who command instant respect often have one thing in common. They are emotionally independent. They appreciate praise, but they do not need it. They enjoy acceptance, but they do not depend on it. They are willing to stand alone if necessary. And there is something incredibly powerful about a person who is not afraid of disapproval, because that person becomes difficult to manipulate, difficult to pressure, difficult to control. The world respects people who respect themselves enough to think independently, who speak honestly, who stay true to their values, who refuse to sacrifice their identity simply to be accepted. The irony is beautiful. The less you chase approval, the more respect you often receive, the less desperate you become for validation, the more confident you appear. And the more confident you appear, the more people begin listening to you, because confidence that comes from within is rare. And rare things naturally command respect. Once you stop seeking everyone's approval, you begin understanding another secret of influence. The most respected people are often the ones who speak less, but make every word matter. Once you stop seeking everyone's approval, you discover another psychological secret of instant respect. Powerful people do not speak all the time. They speak with intention. Most people believe that talking more makes them appear important. They think that constantly explaining themselves, sharing every opinion, and filling every silence will make others notice them. But human psychology often works in the opposite way. The people who command the most respect are often the ones who say less but mean more, because words lose value when they are used carelessly. Think about it. When someone talks constantly, reveals every thought, and reacts to everything, people stop paying close attention. Their words become predictable, common, expected. But when a person speaks carefully, something different happens. People listen because they know that when this person says something, it probably matters. This is the hidden power of speaking less. Silence creates weight, silence creates presence, silence creates authority. The human mind naturally values what feels rare, And words become more valuable when they are used selectively. This is why some people can walk into a room, say only a few sentences, and leave a lasting impression. Their confidence does not come from speaking more. It comes from not needing to. Most people talk too much because they are uncomfortable with silence. Silence makes them nervous. They feel the need to explain themselves, to prove themselves, to make sure everyone understands them. But powerful people are different. They understand that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every criticism needs a response. Not every conversation requires their opinion. This creates mystery, and mystery naturally commands respect. People become curious about those who do not reveal everything. They pay more attention to people who remain calm and composed because silence communicates something powerful. It says, I do not need to speak constantly to prove my value. That kind of confidence is rare, and rare things are respected. There is another reason speaking less creates authority. It gives you emotional control. Many people speak impulsively. They react immediately. They say things they later regret. They reveal their anger, their fears, and their insecurities without thinking. And in doing so, they give away their power because the person who cannot control their words often struggles to control their emotions. But the person who can remain calm and choose their words carefully appears strong, disciplined, confident, and people respect confidence. Think about moments in your own life when someone insulted you and you stayed calm instead of reacting emotionally. When someone tried to provoke you and you remained silent, those moments often made you appear stronger, not weaker, because emotional control is power. And silence is often a sign of emotional control. This does not mean you become quiet all the time. It means your words become intentional. You stop speaking simply to fill space. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. You stop trying to win every argument because you realize that your energy is valuable. Your words become fewer, but stronger. And when you finally speak, people listen more carefully. The irony is beautiful. The less desperate you are to be heard, the more people want to hear what you have to say. The less you feel the need to explain yourself, the more confidence you seem to possess. The less you speak unnecessarily, the more powerful your words become. Because respect is not created by noise. It is created by presence, by self-control, by intentional action. The most respected people often carry a quiet kind of authority. They do not chase attention. They do not dominate every conversation. They simply know the value of their words. And because they value their words, other people begin valuing them too. Once you understand this, you begin realizing that respect is not only about what you say, it is also about what you refuse to tolerate. And that brings you to another powerful lesson: the importance of protecting your boundaries without guilt. After learning the value of speaking with intention, you begin discovering another secret of instant respect. Respect cannot survive where boundaries do not exist. Many people believe that being kind means saying yes to everything. They believe that always being available, always being understanding, and always putting other people first will make them respected and loved. But human psychology often works differently. When people realize they can constantly take your time, ignore your needs, and cross your limits without consequences, they slowly stop respecting you, not because they are evil, but because boundaries teach people how to treat you. Every relationship in your life is built on invisible rules. And those rules are often created by what you allow. If you allow disrespect, people assume it is acceptable. If you tolerate being used, people assume they can continue using you. If you constantly sacrifice your own peace to avoid disappointing others, people begin expecting it. This is why protecting your boundaries is so important, because every time you say yes to something that violates your values, you say no to yourself. And slowly, your self-respect begins to disappear. The truth is simple. People respect those who respect themselves enough to have limits. Think about the individuals who naturally command respect. They are often kind, they are often generous, but they also know how to say no. They know when to walk away, they know when something goes against their values. And because they protect their boundaries, people treat them differently. Many people fear boundaries because they are afraid of losing relationships. They think, if I say no, people will leave. If I stop tolerating this behavior, people will become angry. If I stand up for myself, people may not like me anymore. Sometimes that is true. Some people will become uncomfortable when you establish boundaries. Some people will become upset. Some people may even walk away. But that often reveals something important. It reveals who benefited from your lack of boundaries, because healthy people respect limits. Only people who benefited from your self-sacrifice become angry when you stop sacrificing yourself. This is why boundaries are powerful. They create clarity, they reveal intentions, and they protect your dignity. There is another reason boundaries create respect. They communicate value. When you protect your time, people understand that your time matters. When you protect your peace, people understand that your peace matters. When you refuse disrespect, people understand that you value yourself, and self-value naturally creates respect. The person who accepts everything often becomes invisible, but the person who has standards becomes memorable. Because standards communicate strength, many people spend their lives trying to avoid conflict. They say yes when they mean no. They agree when they actually disagree. They tolerate behavior that hurts them. And over time, resentment begins growing inside them. This is not kindness. This is self-abandonment. Real kindness does not require destroying yourself. Real kindness can exist alongside boundaries. You can be respectful and still protect your peace. You can be caring and still refuse poor treatment. You can be loving and still say no. In fact, the ability to say no is one of the clearest signs of self-respect. Because saying no requires courage, it requires believing that your needs matter too. And people often respect those who have the courage to protect themselves. The irony is beautiful. Many people fear that boundaries will make them less liked, but boundaries often make people respect you more because people trust those who know who they are. People admire those who have standards. People feel safer around those who are emotionally clear and consistent. The moment you stop allowing everyone unlimited access to your time and energy, something changes. You become more valuable, more confident, more respected. Because the world pays attention to how you treat yourself, and when you protect your boundaries without guilt, you teach everyone around you that your dignity is not negotiable. Once you understand this, another form of power begins to emerge, the ability to remain calm and composed even when other people become emotional. After protecting your boundaries, you discover another quality that instantly changes how people see you. The ability to remain calm when everyone else becomes emotional. This may be one of the most powerful forms of respect a person can earn, because in a world where most people react impulsively, emotional control feels rare, and rare qualities naturally command respect. Think about the people who lose control of themselves every time something goes wrong. A small criticism ruins their day. A disagreement turns into an argument. A negative comment destroys their confidence. Their emotions constantly move according to what is happening around them. And because of this, they appear unstable, unpredictable, easy to influence. But then you meet someone different, someone who remains calm under pressure, someone who listens before reacting, someone who does not become angry over every small inconvenience, someone who can face criticism, conflict, and challenges without losing their composure. There is something incredibly powerful about this person, because emotional control creates authority. The person who controls their emotions often controls the situation. Human beings naturally respect calmness. Why? Because calmness communicates strength. It says, I am not controlled by circumstances. I am not controlled by your words. I am not controlled by temporary emotions. This creates a sense of inner power that people can feel. Most people think strength means being loud, being aggressive, always having the final word. But real strength often looks different. Real strength is remaining calm when others are angry, remaining patient when others panic, remaining focused when others become emotional. This kind of self-control is difficult, and difficult things are respected. There is another reason emotional control creates respect. It makes you difficult to manipulate. People can only control you when they control your reactions. If someone can easily make you angry, they have power over you. If someone can easily offend you, they have power over you. If someone can easily disturb your peace, they have power over you. This is why emotional discipline is so important, because every time you refuse to react impulsively, you keep your power. Think about how many arguments begin because people react immediately. Someone says something offensive, someone disagrees, someone criticizes, and suddenly emotions take over. Words are spoken that cannot be taken back. Relationships become damaged. Regret appears later, all because there was no emotional control. Powerful people understand this. They know that emotions are temporary, and they refuse to make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. This is why they appear wise. This is why they appear strong, because they understand that not every situation deserves an emotional reaction. Sometimes the strongest response is calmness. Sometimes the strongest response is silence. Sometimes the strongest response is simply walking away. The irony is beautiful. The calmer you become, the more powerful you appear. The less reactive you are, the more people respect your presence, because emotional control creates trust. People trust those who remain composed. They trust those who do not create unnecessary drama. They trust those who can think clearly under pressure. This is one of the hidden reasons leaders earn respect. Leadership is not about never feeling emotions. It is about refusing to become controlled by them. Everyone feels anger. Everyone feels disappointment. Everyone feels frustration. But respected people know how to manage those emotions. They pause, they think, they choose their response carefully. And this ability changes everything, because calmness protects relationships. Calmness protects opportunities. Calmness protects your reputation. Most importantly, calmness protects your peace. The truth is simple. Anyone can react. Anyone can become angry. Anyone can lose control. But it takes strength to remain composed. It takes discipline to stay calm. It takes confidence to refuse unnecessary emotional battles. And people naturally respect what is difficult. The moment you master your emotions, you become harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, and harder to defeat. And once you possess that kind of inner control, you naturally begin building a life that commands respect without needing to ask for it. After learning to respect yourself, stop seeking approval, speak with intention, protect your boundaries, and master your emotions, you arrive at the final lesson. Respect cannot be chased. It must be earned. And the fastest way to earn it is to build a life that naturally commands it. Most people want respect immediately. They want people to admire them, listen to them, value them, but they often focus on the wrong things. They focus on appearances, on trying to impress people, on forcing others to notice them. The truth is much simpler. People respect value. They respect discipline. They respect purpose. They respect people who are deeply committed to becoming better. Think about the individuals you admire. They may not be the loudest people in the room. They may not seek attention, but they possess something powerful. They are focused. They are disciplined. They are building something meaningful. And because they are focused on growth, they naturally command respect. There is something attractive about a person who has direction, a person who wakes up every day with purpose, a person who values their time, a person who is constantly improving themselves, because purpose creates confidence, and confidence creates respect. The hidden truth is that many people desperately want respect from others while neglecting themselves. They spend hours trying to be liked, but very little time becoming valuable. They chase attention, but ignore growth. They seek admiration, but avoid discipline. And this creates frustration, because respect rarely comes from what you say. It comes from who you become. This is why personal growth is so powerful. Every skill you develop increases your confidence. Every promise you keep to yourself increases your self-respect. Every challenge you overcome makes you stronger. And people notice strength, not because you tell them you are strong, but because strength changes the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you make decisions, the way you handle problems. This is why disciplined people naturally earn respect. Discipline creates reliability. Reliability creates trust, and trust creates respect. The world admires people who do what they say they will do, people who stay committed when things become difficult, people who continue growing even when nobody is watching. Because discipline reveals character, and character commands respect. There is another important truth. When you become deeply focused on your own growth, something unexpected happens. You stop chasing respect. You become too busy building your life, too busy improving yourself, too busy pursuing your purpose. And ironically, this is often when respect starts finding you. Because people are naturally drawn toward those who seem fully invested in their own journey. They admire people who have direction. They respect people who have standards. They trust people who have discipline. The irony of life is beautiful. The more desperate you are for respect, the harder it often becomes to earn, the less you chase it, and the more you focus on becoming valuable, the more naturally it appears. Because true respect is a byproduct of confidence, a byproduct of discipline, a byproduct of purpose. Most people spend years trying to control what others think about them. But powerful people understand that there is something far more important, controlling who they become, because when you become strong, disciplined, and purposeful, people begin seeing you differently, not because you demanded respect, but because your actions earned it. And this kind of respect is powerful because it cannot be faked, it cannot be forced. It is built slowly through the way you live your life. In the end, the psychology of making people respect you instantly has very little to do with other people. It begins with respecting yourself. It grows when you stop needing approval. It strengthens when you protect your boundaries and master your emotions. And it reaches its highest form when you dedicate yourself to becoming someone whose character, discipline, and purpose naturally command respect wherever you go. Because the greatest respect you will ever receive from the world begins with becoming someone you deeply respect yourself.